So today I thought we'd take a closer look at an alternative to the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, a more nature-based alternative. Now this method seems to come from the work of John Michael Greer. Now, he doesn't seem to claim it as his own, but in my research I've not been able to find anyone else that talks much about it. Regardless of its origins, I think if a concept resonates with you, then it's well worth exploring. And this one, I think, does have some potential as it tries to capture some of those Kabbalistic concepts in a more earth-based, nature-centric model. So, let's dig in and see what this model's all about. But before we do, let's just take a quick look at the Kabbalistic Tree of Life and refresh ourselves on some of the basic concepts so that we can see exactly what it is that we're trying to emulate here. The Kabbalistic Tree of Life may be seen as a model of creation. Both creation of the greater cosmos, and also it represents man as a creative species. The Tree of Life consists of 3 pillars, and arranged upon these pillars are 10 spheres, which are known as the Sephirot. And each of these Sephirot represents an emanation in the process of creation. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with this model at this point, but as we dig deeper, we find that this model lends itself more and more to the Jewish faith. And that's fine if you're part of the Jewish belief system, but in my case, I'm not. I tend to be more interested and believe more in the natural world and the laws of nature and science. But the basis of the Kabbalistic model does ring true to me. And, well, I just wish there was a better way to represent the process of creation in a more natural way. And so I'm always looking to adapt and adopt the Kabbalistic tree to be more fitting to my own belief system. And so this is why this concept proposed by John Michael Greer is of interest to me. Now, he does mention this concept in a couple of the books that he's written, but I've also found an online resource whereby he's written a paper about this concept, and I'll put a link to the URL down below not in the comments, in the description of this video. So you can go and check that out for yourself. So let's get straight into it. What is this new concept that is to replace the Tree of Life? Well, this concept is based on the Wheel of the Year and the 8 sabbats. And for those of you that are not familiar with the 8-fold Wheel of the Year, then the wheel represents the annual cycle. and it depicts the solar cycle, the solstices and the equinoxes, along with the agricultural cycle. Now, each of the 8 sabbats are assigned to the Sephirot on the Tree of Life. But there are 10 Sephirot on the Tree of Life, so what about the other 2? So these other 2, they represent the sun and the moon, and we're told, although I have to admit that the instruction is a bit vague in this area, but we're told that the sun and the moon reside inside the circle of the wheel. So my interpretation of that would be something like this, where we have the sun actually forming the outer circle, joining the sabbats together. And this makes sense because it's the sun that follows through each of these stations and creates the seasons throughout the yearly cycle. And the moon I've placed at the centre. The moon is the balancing force and all energies throughout the process of creation. Traditionally, through Kabbalistic law, all energies must first be passed through the moon before they can take on any earthly form. Now, in regards to the other Sephirot, I'll give you the layout that's been depicted in the online resource that I've listed down below. And so we have Bina assigned to Samhain, Keter assigned to the winter solstice, Chokmah assigned to Imbolg, Hesed assigned to the spring equinox, Netzach assigned to Beltane, Malkut assigned to the summer solstice, Hod assigned to Lunaza, and Gebra assigned to the autumn equinox. So these are the assignments we've been given. Now, I don't necessarily agree with the order they've been given to us in, and I'll tell you why. But before I do, I'll tell you why I do like this concept, even if I don't like the order of the assignments of the particular Sephirot. I like the fact that this is a nature-based model, and I also like the fact that this is a model of creation. And moving through the yearly cycle from one season to another, I think is highly symbolic of the process of life, death, and rebirth, and hence creation. So what I don't like about the model is the assignments. Now, a little while ago, I did a video on the supernals, the first 3 Sephirot on the Tree of Life. And these 3 Sephirot are extremely important. Now, as I keep saying, the Tree of Life is a model of creation. And the first sphere in this process, Keter, represents the first sparks of energy, the first ripples of energy. And the second sphere, Chokmah, represents the expansion of that energy, and Bina, the third sphere, represents the formation of that energy into a structure. And so the order in which these spheres are traversed is very important, at least for these first three. And for me, the order of the seasons, well, they can't be changed. And so it just seems logical to me that if we want to use the movement of the sun through the seasons to represent creation, then we should start with Keter, then Tokma, then Tabina. And so in this diagram, I've laid it out such that all the Sephirot are organized sequentially as they are on the Tree of Life. And we start with the winter solstice and Keter, the first beginnings of life, the rebirth of the sun. And we move to Imbolc to Chokmah, the spring equinox to Bina, Beltane to Hesed, the summer solstice to Gebra, Lunaza to Netzach, the autumn equinox to Hod, and Samhain to Earth. This way we follow the sun's yearly cycle through the seasons, through life, death, and rebirth. And each of the Sephirot are then represented on each of the seasons throughout the yearly cycle in a linear fashion. Much the same way as the creation process is meant to be modelled by the Tree of Life. So the question then is, am I going to start using this model instead of the Kabbalistic Tree of Life? Well, I do like the concept of using the seasons to represent the process of creation. But there are still a few things that don't quite resonate for me. It needs a bit more work, and I'll continue to work on this until it rings true for me. Now, if you have any ideas of how these assignments may be changed to make them more meaningful, I would really love to hear them. Drop them in the comments down below. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you liked today's video, and subscribe if you're not already. And with that, I'll see you again in another 2 weeks on the next one.